River ecosystems are home to a diverse array of fascinating creatures. You never really know what's in there until you see it for yourself, or take something out from them. Get ready to see some surprising footage from a river that's hard to believe is real until you see it on camera. Powerful underwater predator. Engaging in fishing isn't just about having the proper gear. It's also about the skill to capture a haul that rivals the angler's size. I recall a young fishing apprentice who endeavored to lure a fish with bait, not knowing that his catch was considerably larger. After a handful of tries, the fish's immense strength surprised him, ultimately leading to an unexpected plunge into the water. This humorous yet humbling experience highlighted the captivating unpredictability of the fishing world. Fleshy jellies swimming. In April 2020, someone caught on camera something seriously odd. A bunch of these jellyfish that looked like they were made of flesh, gliding beneath a dock. Now, these weren't your run-of-the-mill jellyfish. Their texture matched the jellyfish vibe, but their shape was like a whole new ballgame. What really spooked the person behind the camera was that these jellyfish just appeared out of thin air and hung around like they owned the place. But here's the kicker. Just when experts were about to dive into this jellyfish mystery, poof, they vanished into thin water. Luckily, the camera was rolling, or folks would have thought it was all just a wild tale. Wave-wrecking creature. While it might resemble the aftermath of an underwater explosion or a deep-sea skirmish, this spectacle is nothing more than the theatrical defense mechanism of the gentle manatees. A paddleboarder found himself taken back as the tranquil water surface erupted into a display of splashes and surges. Despite its appearance as an aggressive onslaught, this behavior serves as a clever tactic employed by the manatees. By generating these waves, they bewilder any potential predators lurking nearby or giving chase, showcasing nature's ingenious methods of survival. Snake's claim for fish. By the body language, you can know that even the snake realized that it was trespassing and stealing someone else's catch, but it went ahead and did it anyway. This young boy was attempting to make his first catch until a snake that presumably was following the fish appeared while making a claim over the young boy's catch. With fish still hooked to the bait of the fishing rod, the snake sensed a challenge and was attempting to flee the area with the catch. Hidden saltwater crocodile. Crocodiles don't mess around, and they are also a complete pack of giant size, jaws that pack a punch, and ninja-like camouflage skills. These creatures reign as the wild's ultimate predators. Check this out! There's a video from May 2019 where a brave soul coaxes a hidden saltwater crocodile out of its watery hiding spot for a meal in a tight pool. It's like something out of a thriller movie in which these colossal critters are pros at sneaky hunting. The thing is, they're so darn good at it, you never ever see them coming until it's too late. Baiting out serum. Unlike the old technique of hooking a bait to a fishing line, this rather helps in checking the fish population. An unknown fisherman spilled what looks to be serum on the surface of a wetland, and within moments, dozens of fish appear on the surface, making it easy for the fisherman to collect them. Initially, the serum was first thought to be some kind of blood, until that was ruled out as the fish surfaced while struggling to breathe. This created an uproar among most viewers that claimed that this could have severe consequences for marine animals, aside from the obvious environmental pollution. Tree moving in water. Relocating might not be a thing of the trees, but the overwhelming strength of the flooding changed it otherwise. Footage shared by a random source shows a moment where, due to the cause of severe flooding, led to displacement of a tree that moved away with a piece of earth still wrapped by its roots. Usually, trees tend to be completely ripped away by the floods, but this one remained intact, but migrated away. Shark takes a cut. Whether you called it tax or a fair share of cut, this large mako shark wasn't going to completely miss out. A fisherman who was recording while taking out his catch in the Gulf of Mexico when he found himself in a dispute with a mako shark over who gets the gaffed tuna. Although it almost seemed as if the large shark was attempting to snatch away the entire catch after the tuna was pulled completely back into the water, it then surfaced seconds later, missing what looks to be exactly half of its lower body. This shark certainly was generous enough to not take it all. Rogue wave. It's not always the marine animals that create disturbance such as this, but sometimes it can be nature itself. This recording was taken by the Santa Cruz Harbor in California, where a rogue wave caused damages to boats worth millions of dollars. Initially, it was believed to be the cause of some giant marine animal closing in, but later was ruled to be an aftermath effect of an underwater earthquake that caused a partial tsunami. Aside from the damages, no human lives were lost or incurred any serious injuries. Hairless creature. The resemblance of this creature is strikingly similar to that of Gollum from The Lord of the Rings. A video taken in April 2015 shows plantation workers who stumbled upon this peculiar, hairless being that they weren't able to identify. Overwhelmed by fear and curiosity at the same time, they cautiously guided back deep into the forest. From it being a malnourished bear or a dog, many of the initial assumptions later on were ruled out due to the absence of fur. With the video eventually going viral, forest officials intervened to investigate the creature's true identity. From it being an extraterrestrial life form to a mythical vampiric creature called a chupacabra, many theories were drawn out by the public. Aggressive bull shark attack. Regardless of the shark species, their behavior can be so unpredictably aggressive when encountered. A drone was deployed by a boater to investigate when his boat was being attacked. The camera on the drone caught the dramatic encounter of the huge bull shark that was consistently launching itself onto the fishing boat off the coast of Florida. From mere scratches to missing pieces, the owner was surprised at the level of damages the shark dealt to his engines, despite the boat being much bigger than the shark. Gator attempts drowning drone. You won't believe this. Alligators might look like they're just chilling, but don't underestimate them. In the Amazon River last year, a drone was doing its thing, filming an alligator. But guess what? This reptile wasn't having any of it. It got fed up with the drone snooping and took action by actually leaping out of the water, trying to snatch the drone mid-air. Crazy, right? Thankfully, the drone pilot was on their game and managed to swerve out of the way, keeping their distance from the alligator's surprise attack. Trouble-seeking gang disbanded. The idea itself of being confronted by a large group of sea lions is quite terrifying, let alone experiencing it firsthand. In March 2019, a seasoned fisherman off the coast of British Columbia shared this incident, showing the moment when he and his crew were surrounded by dozens of sea lions that were ganged up and were closing in on their boat. With similar incidents reported previously, the fisherman came prepared, having firecrackers and dynamite with limited blast radius. Once the sea lions were too close, one of the fishermen started lighting up the dynamite to scare off the sea lions. Although this created a fierce debate on the internet, the fisherman claimed that it was done for safety reasons. Wrestle with python.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Let's go!
Sometimes, hands are the very best tools to catch something as huge and dangerous as this python. A snake hunter in Florida was called in to catch, who, after quite a wrestle, was able to restrain what is said to be the longest Burmese python that was ever documented in the state, measuring 6 meters and weighing 125 pounds. With the python being an invasive species and posing a significant danger to local residents, the state has declared their euthanization to be legal. Fish confronts boater. From a direct confrontation to driving the fisherman out of its territory, the actual intentions of this fish may never be known. While cruising on a boat in an undisclosed location, these boaters were caught in surprise when a huge fish jumped onto their boat that one of the men on the boat was scared to the extent that he lost balance and fell into the water. Although it may look to be a case of fish accidentally landing inside the boat while hopping in and out of the water, according to the boaters, the fish seemed to be aggressive and confrontational, so much so that it was willing to attack them to drive them out of its territory. Crocodile jumps fisherman. This croc took the prank far too seriously that it reacted by going above and beyond. This recording, dated June 2023, was shared by a boater who was out on a fishing trip with his buddies in a crocodile-infested water when he came across a juvenile croc that jumped onto their boat. The juvenile reptile was drawn out by a fishing bait, which, after being pulled out of the water, made the crocodile react, jumping to attack, almost as if the boaters were talking rubbish about the crocodile or its family. The crew, however, pushed it overboard using a pair of paddles on board. Fishing bigger than kayak. Catching a huge fish should be the spirit, but going for one much bigger than your boat won't pan out too well. A kayaker shared this footage showing him attempting to grasp a massive fish that he happened to get a hold of. With the fish being aggressive, slippery, and much bigger than the boat itself, the odds were in favor of the fish, who, after struggling, managed to break free and escape. Had the boat been any bigger, the fisherman might have been able to make this catch instead of dropping it. Pissed off swordfish. The dangers of the sea aren't just limited to sharks, but also a stressed out swordfish in a fishing line. Tourists that were taking a dive off the coast of Chumphan, southern Thailand in December 2019 very nearly missed a very close encounter with this swordfish that was snagged on a fishing line and was swimming frantically. The fishermen were able to pull it away in time, avoiding what could have had severe consequences for the tourists. After all, finding out how sharp the nose of a swordfish is the last thing that would be on anyone's mind. Night fishing attack. Casting in your fishing line often brings pleasant surprises, but this time it took a perilous turn. Back in 2013, a small group of anglers set sail off the New England coast when their fishing line caught something huge several times before escaping. What seemed like a colossal fish turned out to be an aggressive, larger predator that attacked. The recording captures their horrified expressions just before their boat capsized. Despite search efforts, the crew was never located. Days after, wreckage surfaced with recording gear and colossal bite marks resembling those of a giant shark called the Megalodon. Before we move any further, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you can keep watching our amazing content. Barracuda's last-ditch attempt. Since most fishes are cold-blooded, they tend to be dangerous even if they seem to have expired after being pulled out of the water. During a fishing expedition in the Hauraki Gulf, Auckland, New Zealand, back in winter 2011, the recorder of this clip had a close call with a barracuda that was caught after several failed attempts. The barracuda, which is estimated to be 22 pounds in weight, with an impressively sharp set of teeth, almost attacked the recorder, who initially thought it to be dead when he got closer. Then, the barracuda made an unexpected move and attempted to take a bite at the fisherman's nose. Canoe fisherman struck. In September 2019, this captivating video surfaced onto the internet showcasing an aggressive bull shark that was repeatedly attacking two canoes off Florida's coast.
My gosh!
Both the fishermen in their canoes struggled to keep themselves afloat, despite the aggressive predator charging up from below and striking them both. The impact nearly flung the occupants into the water, until, after relentless efforts, the shark eventually lost interest and swam away. According to the occupants, this wasn't a random attack, but rather a reaction after it got caught up in the line. Fishing line overwhelmed. When it comes to using bait, you shouldn't be surprised about what might get attracted. This fishing line got hooked with an unexpected victim, which, after a brief struggle, was found to be a sizable gator. To avoid its predatory existence turning into a prey, the gator engaged in a tug-of-war with a man on a boat. The video captured in January 2022 shows remarkable moments when a 3-meter-long alligator that was so desperate to break free resorted to a death roll seconds after a brief struggle between the two. Rush for fishing. Catching fishes throughout the year might be a norm for many, but in Dogon country, fishing is rather an annual expedition. To kick off the yearly fishing expedition, this incident from July 2022 shows a gathering of men from the Bamba region for fishing in the pond of Etongo, one of the few areas in the region which doesn't run dry. Each of the fishermen tries to trap a silurid fish, which is a sacred fish that is reputed to bring happiness to whomever catches it. With the fishing limited to only once in a year, it protects the sacred fish by keeping their numbers in check. Unknown sneaker. This is another example of why you shouldn't get your hopes up too high while reeling in what might seem to be a potential catch. A man fishing in the shallow water on a beach reeled in what he initially thought to be a fish, only to find it something far more bizarre that he decided to let it go. Judging from the looks of the footage, it almost seems to be a cormorant, while it is not known for sure what this may or may not have been. Bear confronts campers fishing. Not that this bear is bad at catching fish. Rather, it didn't appreciate the idea of someone else fishing from his territory, or was just looking for a change in the menu. A group of campers in Alberta, Canada, were attempting to catch a fish for lunch until they were interrupted by a huge, aggressive grizzly bear that came charging at them. Luckily, since they already had a few fish caught, they decided to toss those fish towards the bear and flee the scene while the bear was distracted. After all, since bears can climb trees, swim, and even outrun an average human being on the ground, there's little to no defense against a charging bear. Backyard fishing. For the sewage systems that are connected to seas and oceans, this was quite expected, although it may sound surprising. A resident from Texas shared this video in April 2015, demonstrating how to fish from their neighborhood's sewer system. Within minutes into the footage, they managed to catch a 2-pound mudfish by using a shad for bait that was left dangling from the manhole cover. Upon the fish catching the bait, all they had to do was to use a net to pull their catch out. If catches such as these get to be more common, no one would go to bed with an empty stomach. Wrecking swordfish. The razor-sharp snout and the very speed that it helps generate is what makes the swordfish one of the most dangerous marine animals to catch. An aggressive swordfish happened to get caught on the bait of fishermen in Bangladesh that, despite the danger of its sharp snout, they decided to proceed catching it anyway. Aside from the fishing line, they were forced to use a spear gun several times before attempting to pull it on board the boat, at which point it was still attempting to flee. Exfoliated scale creature. A mysterious entity such as this may partially look like a snake or an eel, but it's believed to be neither. This footage was randomly shared by an unknown source, showing a worm or a snake-like creature that rolls in on itself repeatedly in such a manner that it continuously rotates itself within. According to the source, this creature was found in his fishing net, which, unable to identify it, he shared the video on the internet, hoping to get answers. Experts believe that this is most likely a snake that may have been struggling to exfoliate its scales. Fishing line attempt backfired. At this point, you'd be convinced to be careful about where your fishing line is at all times. Two friends were out fishing when their line got caught up into something way bigger than a fish. It was discovered to be a hippo, which not only burst out, being territorial, but also being pissed off having a fishing line hooked into it. Fortunately, the passengers on board miraculously survived, with no serious harm coming to them. Loch Ness catfish catches bait. Although the catfish are rarely known to hunt on shallow surfaces, this one stands out. A man, while out looking for a catch, found this huge and aggressive catfish that was lurking around in the shallow fresh water somewhere in Florida. After having to run into the fish, the man started to play around with the fish by continuously setting the bait for it to catch, even after capturing the fish, to measure and weigh before releasing it back into the water. Catch breaks fishing rod. Even if this fishing rod may have been a cheap knockoff, it still reeled in a Goliath grouper. A seasoned fisherman caught a huge grouper on his line that, during a brief struggle to reel it in, the rod instantly snapped completely while it was still secured by the cord. With the cord still intact, the man was able to secure the catch before the rod could turn completely useless. From missing the fish to having sustained a serious injury, anything could have gone in the manner of how the rod broke apart. The impossible catch. Just by seeing the size and equipment being used, you can know that the only thing here that made this successful is sheer experience. This clip from April 2023 shows a local fisherman in Thailand who shocked the internet in footage showing him capturing a 297-pound fish, managing to pull his prize out of the water all alone after a brief struggle. Having only a small raft that almost seemed to be on the verge of capsizing, along with a rod and a rope, well, if a man such as this can make an impossible catch with so few tools, one can only imagine the potential of what he could accomplish with proper tools. Tuna nearly takes it all. This tuna may not be the biggest ever caught fish, but first of its kind that put an overwhelming resistance. A band of junior fishermen were attempting to reel in a giant tuna fish after it got caught up in the line, to a point where the fish was so huge and aggressive that they were not able to pull it out. While in a tug of war, the fishermen were desperate to catch the tuna at any cost, that they were still attempting to do so against all odds, regardless of their boat taking on water and being on the brink of sinking. With another well-equipped and experienced fisherman nearby, they were finally able to catch the massive tuna, which almost cost them everything. Catch stolen. There's always a bigger fish out there that often goes unaccounted for, until something like this happens. While these men almost secured a catch, a much bigger fish, seemingly a shark that was in pursuit, broke its cover from the water in an attempt to snatch the prey. The men managed to dodge their catch from getting stolen a few times, until this massive shark got lucky and secured the catch for itself. Bear with tapeworms. If you're watching this while eating or on a belly full, you might want to skip this entry. A hiker on the outskirts of Montana shared this footage showing an adult black bear that looks to be in the throes of passing several lengthy tapeworms. According to an expert, since bears feed on salmon, they often become hosts for these extra-dimensional looking organisms that lodge themselves into an intestinal tract. At this point, they release the eggs into the wild via droppings of the host bear and spread to other potential hosts that come in the way. Giant worm. You probably would have never fathomed something like this to exist, let alone know the possibility of it being under your front yard. This incident was shared by a resident where his gardener discovered this giant earthworm while he was investigating the cause of the grass that started to decay. After digging a deep burrow under the exterior grass lawn, this massive worm was found within top 2 meters of the dirt, feeding on the roots and soil's organic matter. The worm was found to be an average of 1 meter long and 2 centimeters in diameter, but due to their flexible nature, it was difficult to measure the exact length. Typically, scientists use the weight to estimate the size of these giant worms. Unknown black fish. Back in June 2019, a TikTok user captured an intriguing moment, the sighting of an enigmatic fish species. The footage showcased a fish with a distinctly unusual appearance, boasting a triangular snout and a lower jaw reminiscent of a whale's. Speculation buzzed among viewers, with some suggesting that this could be a scenario involving a whale born with an unusual deformity. Despite the conjecture, the truth remains elusive, and the peculiar creature continues to shroud itself in mystery, reminding us of the hidden wonders yet to be unraveled beneath the waves. Mermaid sighting. When it comes to mermaids, there is so much evidence such as this that actually proves their existence, despite the fact that they've never been seen before. A boater that was out in open waters shared this footage on his Instagram, where he noticed something swimming parallel to his boat, along with scream sounds every now and then. Not even though it was dark, the recorder, upon looking closer, claimed to have seen it have a body structure similar to none other than a mermaid. What do you think this may have been? Do share with us your opinion down in the comments. This picture was taken on June 7th, 2021, showing a group of fishermen who accidentally cornered a mermaid on a beach in Sri Lanka after it got stuck in a fishing net and crawled out of the water to break free. One of the bystanders managed to capture a video showing the mermaid, who initially seemed to be deceased, until it started moving. After getting cleared from all the trash, the mermaid moved back towards the water before disappearing in the dark. According to marine biologists, the mermaid was beached due to the toxic nature of the water, which made it sick and hardly able to breathe. The nature of this mermaid remains a mystery, but if you happen to know anything about it, please do share it with us down in the comments. Terrifying spider! While most would call it a crab, it very much looks more like a giant spider that hunts fish. A beachgoer shared this clip showing a terrifying giant fishing spider moments after it revealed itself from shelter and caught a sizable fish. The spider stood still by the water's edge and quickly grabbed a fish after jumping in a flash of a second. Once the prey is in its clutches, it deploys a quick-acting venom that immediately neutralizes the prey while it starts to feast. Rare beaked whale. A bystander took this video in July 2015 at the shores of Pakaroa Beach in Barrytown, New Zealand, where he saw a massive whale measuring around 7 meters in length lay beached upon the sand. Its nature of origin was uncertain, which also shrouded the circumstances of its arrival. Yet the evidence of its struggles was evident. Wounds marred its enormous form, with the eye in particular bearing the marks of gull attacks. Juvenile dragon creature. While dragons are often dismissed as mere legend, a remarkable find challenges this notion. In May 2016, a resident of Rong Island, Cambodia, stumbled upon the lifeless body of a juvenile dragon, debunking the myth. This astonishing discovery followed heavy rainfall. Internet fascination propelled the footage to viral status, inciting curiosity worldwide. Seizing the opportunity, a team of marine biologists geared up for an investigation. Unfortunately, before they could proceed, the remains of this purported young dragon were illicitly traded on the black market, underscoring the clash between scientific inquiry and the allure of forbidden trade. LEPTOCEPHALUS eel. Although this may seem like the case of a ghost creature, it's actually a species of moray eels that have an unusual, transparent larvae. They often have been compared to the larva of a long, thin ribbon eel, which is metamorphosing, not feeding, and is entering shallow water to finish metamorphosis into a young eel. However, since these marine animals are transparent, spotting them is hard, which is why they are rarely sighted. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.